Okay, here's part 2 of the small diaphragm carburetor on the 2-stroke. We just took the diaphragm and the needle and the seat, or the needle and the pin and everything off of the diaphragm side, so let me explain how that works. When your piston travels up in your cylinder, it reveals the vacuum that was created inside the crankcase. That vacuum creates an area of low pressure in the throat of the carburetor, which draws fuel from your needle and seat. Clear it up a little bit. Okay. When that occurs, let me first show you your jets, at least. I wish you could see better. You see right in the throat of the carburetor there, right on the side wall here, there's 2 small holes in this model carburetor. Some have 3. They're your idle jets. When your engine's running at low speed, it's where the fuel comes out, when your throttle shutter's closed partially. When your engine's running at high speed, where's your... I can't even see it. I can't even see it on this one, but you probably can't see it, so it's right around the inside of the carburetor. When you look in the carburetor, you'll see where the throat of the carburetor will get narrower, and that's where your main jet is for running at high speed. Now, when your vacuum is created, like I was talking about, it creates a suction and draws fuel through either this port right here, which I think is your idle in this case right here, and your main port, which is, I don't know, you can see it well right there. It of course has to go through one of your 2 mixture screws. This is your idle mixture screw right here. In most cases it's marked with a little L. In this case it's right there. This is your high, little H. So it draws fuel in there, like I said, creates a vacuum, and it pulls your diaphragm down, that vacuum. So your diaphragm compresses like this, it goes like that. And that little bump on your diaphragm right there pushes against your little hinge right there, and that pulls your needle right here, pulls it up, which allows fuel to come through the screen, past the needle, and into your diaphragm chamber, where it can be sucked through one of your jets, depending on if you're running at high speed or low speed. Now, about these mixture screws right here, a lot of times your carburetor or your engine won't run right unless you take these out, clean everything through, and oftentimes they need adjusting to run properly. They're not adjusted perfect at the factory. They're adjusted to meet emissions at the factory. But to make them run, at their optimum, you gotta adjust them at your home. Well, a lot of people don't have the tool to adjust these. They don't have any slots for a screwdriver, and they have very small splines around the outsides of them. Now, I don't have the tool to do these. It's a $15 or so tool, so I'm not about to buy it. So what I do is I take a hacksaw with a fine blade and just saw right through here, and cut a notch right in the heads of those screws, so you can just get a screwdriver on them. Doesn't hurt anything. Just as long as you don't get any particles down in your carburetor, you're fine. So let me show you. Put it all back together. This is how it all works in a nutshell. When you press your purge pump, fuel is drawn in through this port, or this little fitting. Comes out this hole right here. Lay your little fuel pump diaphragm on top there, so you can see. Got this little flapper valve right here, which prevents fuel from going back. Prevents fuel from being pushed back in here when you press on your purge pump. There. Let's see if that's blocked off. Yep. Goes down this hole right here. Comes out on this side of your fuel pump. You can see, so it came in, came up past the valve, went down through this hole, then went over into your fuel pump chamber. Oh man. There we go. Where it's then pumped out of this hole right here, past this valve, and through this screen, where, depending on if there's a vacuum or not, it can be drawn up past your needle, over through either your idle or your main ports that go into either your idle or your main screws. I forgot to say that some carburetors only have a high adjustment. They don't have a low adjustment. They only have one screw. I've never seen a carburetor with no adjustments, so they always have at least a high speed adjustment. And past those screws, it can either come out your low speed jets, which are right there, if you can see them, like I said, on the side, separated by your throttle shutter, or it can come out your high speed, which is in there. You can't see it. You can actually see kind of right there. Whatever. And if there's too much fuel it's needed, like when you're purging it of air with the purge pump, press down on the pump, it sucks fuel around the outside of this little rubber O-ring thing. And then when you push it back down, it seals around the outside and forces it down through the center hole and out back to your gas tank. That's pretty much how they work. Very, very simple. Not really simple, but simple enough. Just got to make sure you're keeping everything really clean when you're working on these. I prefer to work on them like on a rag or a cloth like this. Just lay everything on a nice clean surface. One other thing I forgot to say is, if you got a stubborn engine that just doesn't want to run right, just won't accelerate, doesn't want to run at low speed, or just not running well at all, you can pry out this little screen right here. I'm not going to do it on this one because this isn't my carburetor, it's somebody else's. This very fine screen right here will limit gas flow if it's even clogged the slightest bit. So on some engines that, I don't use them a lot and they're just sitting around, I just want to get them running, just pry out that screen and that'll make it allow gas to flow easier, and it'll be fine. It'll run. That's it.